Today I would like to give a simple guideline to use the software Autodesk Revit for setting the levels, grid lines, and architecture component. So once you open the software, in the left hand side you'll see a project, open, new, construction template, architecture, structural, and mechanical templates. In order to start the software, please click new. You can choose the template you want. For example, you are drawing the architecture component, you are suggested to use architecture template. You are doing the structure components such as column and beam, you are suggested to use structure template. And for mechanical template, mainly for M&E components. However, you are drawing the construction component, you are suggested to use construction template. So in this video, I would like to teach you the architecture component, therefore you have to use the architecture template. You can choose to create a new project or new project template, depends on the function of the template file you want. For example, if a company want to standardize all the company details information and into the Revit file, they have to create a project template for all the stuff to be used. However, today we just want to create a project because we just want to create a new building for the Revit itself only. So that's why we choose a new project. Okay, at the top part, you will see the tab there. Mention architecture, structural, system, insert, annotate, analyze, missing and cite, corroborate, view, manage, add all add-ins and modify. So today we focus on architecture component only, but before we proceed to the architecture component, you have to set the level and grid line. At the left hand side, you will see project brochure, project 1, which includes 4 plans, level 1, 2 and site, ceiling plan, elevation, east, north, south, west, legends, schedule and quantities, the shapes, families, grouping, and Revit link. So this is the project detail that you can find here. However, on the right hand side, you will see a properties here, including the items of the properties. For example, we are doing the level 1 of floor plan, so the property show the detail of the floor plan. If you didn't see these properties or project brochure, you can go to view tab, under user interface. You click in user interface, you can find here and check it, properties and project brochure. So once you set up the project brochure and properties, this is important to find out the project unit for the project, because it's different country are using different project unit, so it's better for us to select a project unit that's suitable for us. So you just click manage and click project unit here to choose the correct project unit that you use it in your project. So for example, the presetting stated here is feet and inches. If you want to use it, you can change it accordingly. For example, I would like to use meter here because it's a standard project unit in Malaysia. And then please choose it for the relevant items as well. It's a square meter as well. And volume, we choose cubic volume as well. So now I have length with meter. I can choose the decimal point, for example 3 decimal point if I want. Then I can choose square meter, 3 decimal point. And lastly, the volume, 3 decimal point as well. Okay, angle is commonly used degree, so I will remain the setting. If your originally come with meter or mm, that you are okay with that, then you just continue with it. Click OK to close the tab. In the center of your software, you will see there are 4 eyes, or you call it, or 4 direction tab. It's actually, if you point to it, you will see a view from elevation view west. This is the north elevation. This is the east elevation, and the last one is that definitely is a south definition view. So you have to draw your building within this area, so that your elevation can be shown here correctly in the tab. So if you draw it slightly longer, then you have to move your eyes here by selecting it and move it to the left or right, depend on your building dimension. So you can select and change it accordingly, but make sure that your building must be within this box accordingly. Next, we have to set our level and also the grid line for the building. So click Architecture tab, and then go to the click click the any of the elevation. For example, east elevation. Double click it. You will see the levels. So in US, it's commonly used level 1, level 2, but we are following UK method that generally we have ground level and followed by level 1 or first floor. So we can change it by double clicking it. Change the ground level 1 to ground floor. You like to rename it? The answer is yes. Then the level 2 to first floor if you want. So today we are going to draw a simple building which is only single story. That's why we just have a first floor will do. Or level 1 is fine as well. So you have to choose your height of the building. 0 for the ground floor. Definitely if your building is about 3.5 meter, you just double click the dimension and change it accordingly. 3.5. Enter. Then the software will auto adjust the level from 2.0448 to 2.5 accordingly. So after you set the levels, you have to go back to a ground floor and the left hand side of your project brochure there. Double click the ground floor. Then you have your view back. Then you can set your grid line accordingly. Click the architecture tab. Click the architecture tab. Click grid line here. Grid line here. Click the grid line. And the page will bring you to this modify and place grid accordingly. So make sure that the line is selected and click from one point to another. Make sure that if you want to draw a straight line, you have to actually follow 90 degrees. You want to draw a sloping line, you can adjust it accordingly based on the degree you want. But today, we want to start with a simple building, so just click the grid line for 90 degrees will do. After the first line is created, you want to create a second grid line. Then you have to choose the pick lines, which means that you can pick one line as a reference to follow the second lines accordingly. So just click the pick line and you can set the offset accordingly. For example, the second line you want to have about 1.5 meter after the first line. Then you just key in 1.5 here and then go to the line of the first one and then zoom in, see the dotted line at the right hand side, then you click it accordingly. Then the second line will be created. So you can do the following items accordingly. For example, the third line I want to use it is about 2 meter. The third grid line is 2 meter. So I just point to the second line I want to have it. So I get a grid line of 2 meter. To do it, for example, the third line is 1 meter. I do it for accordingly. The fourth line is 1 meter. Then you can do it for the rest. So I like to do about maybe 6 to 7 lines for the grid line itself. So another 2 meter here. Another 2 meter here as well. Okay, I like to draw 7 lines here. After the vertical lines, I would like to draw for the horizontal line. Then I have to redraw it by clicking the line button here. Click the line here. It's mentioned that the line I want. For example, the first line I want. Then after the first line, I can click the green line accordingly for the second line. So I would like to point the first line again until the dotted line is appeared, the waterline is appeared, then I will click it accordingly. So if I think that 2 meter for I created 3 lines within the gaps of 2 meter, after that I can adjust accordingly. For example 1.5 2.5 for example. Then 3, depend on the grid line of the drawing or the building you want to have. Then maybe 1, and finally 2 again. Okay, after you created the grid line, then you might need to change the grid line accordingly, but you are still within the grid line page. You can, for example, you can change the notation for this grid line. Instead of 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 to 14, you can change this to ABCD, for example. So the first line I want to change it, for example, is line number 8. So to change it, I just double click the line. Sorry, Control Z for my mistakes. So after we finish the grid line, we click modify. We have to click modify first because I'm not drawing any new line. So I have to click modify, and then only I can change the annotation accordingly. So I'll change it to A, B, C, D, E, F, G. If you don't like the the notation to be in left hand side, you can right hand side you can change it to a left hand side. It depends on you. Same thing go to those line. If you want to adjust the line, saying that might be too lengthy or too long, then you can highlight the lines, and then you can adjust the line accordingly. Click the small round button here, then you can shorten the line to ease the process of your drawing later. If you think that the building is not in the center part, you can actually highlight the whole grid line and move it accordingly. After you finish your grid line, you can start to draw and add in some architectural component. For example, the wall component, door component, windows, and others. So I'd like to add the wall first. Architecture wall. Select architecture wall. Then I can choose the base, the type of wall I want. So for example, there are lists in the library mentioned that there are different type of the masonry walls, interior partitions, and so on. Even a curtain wall is included. So we choose one as example today. For example, I would like to choose the 8-inch, the standard one, masonry wall. Okay, basic wall for 8-inch. So I just now I'm now going to the modify paste wall location. So I can draw the external wall for the building first. For example, with a factory of a single story factory, I would like to draw the size of the factory accordingly. I would like to click the grid I would like to draw the drawing the wall, sorry, I would like to draw a wall on the grid line mentioned and finish the building. So this is the wall created for the building. In order to view it and double check it, I can choose the 3D view, default 3D view here, to check that whether the wall is drawn correctly. So the wall is definitely drawn correctly, but if I choose the modify button, I click the wall accordingly, the wall height is 6.096 meter, but not the meter that I want because it's selected unconnected, which means that the top is not connected to the level that we created just now, which is 3.5 meter. So it's very simple. You just need to highlight the building, highlight the walls that you want, for example. Then you choose the top constraint to level 1. Then the software will auto adjust the wall into the level that we created just now. So please do it for the rest of the wall. And choose the change the unconnected to level 1. Then you have a wall with 3.5 meter now. Next, we have to go back to your ground floor and add some internal partition, internal wall, and add some door and window as well. So we have to go to the ground floor page, floor plan for the ground floor. Then you can see your floor plan that you drew just now. Click the architecture wall again to select the wall that you want, for example each monastery, to finish all the internal partition you want. So for example, this is a factory drawing I would like to draw, so definitely you must have a small toilet, so I make a partition for a toilet. If you want to have your administrative room, motor rooms, aircon rooms, etc., you can draw it accordingly. So I will just do a partition here for meeting rooms or even administrative room. 2 for that. Then I have to add a small partition for storage. Maybe you have a partition of storage here. And then this should be a operating location or everything space for the factory itself. After the draw and internal wall and external are designed or finished or done, then you have to go to the architecture tab again, click door and window in order to add the component accordingly. So for example, I want to add the door here. Then I would like to choose the door that I have in the library here, because in the next video I will teach you how to import the component or properties accordingly. So today we just want to use the simple library given by the software itself. So I have to choose a relevant item that fulfill my requirement. I can teach you, I will guide you how to change the property and insert the library later. But this lecture I want to make sure that you are familiar with the grid line levels and inserting the architecture component accordingly only. So we just choose the suitable door and we just insert it to the room that needed. For example, I need a toilet door here. I'll click one. I may need a bigger door for storeroom, so I will choose a bigger one. Choose back a normal door for my management room and administrative area. Lastly, the factory door. Okay, after I put in all the doors, I can change the dimension and I can change the direction of the door, but make sure that you click the modify button if you want to modify the component. Then you can, after you click the modify button, you can click the door and change the direction of the door accordingly. You can move the door if you think that it's too far to each other. You can adjust it accordingly. The dimension will be given once you click the item accordingly. So you think that from center of the door until the wall for 0.7 meter is too far, then you can move the door. You can always move the door. Okay, after you've done all the adjustment, you like to add some windows in the simple factory. So just click window and select the window you want. For example, there are in the library there are fixed windows, casement windows, double hang window, and so on. You can put some double hang windows outside to improve the ventilation of the unit itself. So for example, let's choose one double hang window. Oh, sorry, I prefer casement window. So we can choose a casement window here and locate it in your rooms. Same thing happen to your toilet, but definitely we cannot choose very big windows for toilet. So I'll choose a small window. For example, small window double hang. And the top of the windows accordingly. So same thing to a storeroom. I can choose another window here. And the factory itself, I will choose casement window to improve the ventilation, for example. After window is located, then you can adjust the window accordingly. So how to adjust it accordingly? You can choose the elevation side view to check the windows whether it's actually located correctly at the elevation part. Just choose the this wall is not adjusted to the level 1 just now, so it will be adjusted accordingly. Okay. You can choose 3D view to view the internal wall correctly. Make sure that it's not unconnected, but move everything to level 1. Then you can see your windows accordingly. So from the 3D, you will see this in the 3D, and then you can adjust the windows. For example, when you see a front view, you will see a window accordingly. If you think that this is too low or too high, you can set the sill height in order to your window height, the offset of the window height to judge you adjust the height of the window in the building itself. If you think that this is too low, you want to move it up, then you can change the head height accordingly. So for example, 2.4 meter, let's change to 3 meter, apply, then the window will move to the 3 meter from the head itself. It depends on how is your judgment or how is your decision on the location of windows. Same thing happen to you can adjust this small box to change it to the left hand side. If you think that this should be 3 meter for all, so I will change it accordingly, then we'll adjust it accordingly. Move to the front to check it, move to the right hand side, no windows, and the bottom one, the back one is actually the window located for the toilet cannot be too low, so I will choose 3.2 meter and apply. Then we finish all the windows location for external items, and then we can go back to the 3D view where we want. So you can see that all the windows are located correctly in the location we want, except this window, for internal window. You can change it manually as well. If you think that it's too low, you can change it to 3 meter, and the item will be adjusted accordingly. So after make sure that all the doors and windows are located correctly, then you are considered done for this section, because the next section I will cover the other components, including floors, ceilings, and roof as well. Thank you for viewing this video.